why it is better to make a short film for no money than some money. If you were to watch any of my short films made between the year of 2017 to 2021, you would have seen that they all began with the same production company credit. Young Historians Collective presents. You might be surprised to learn, though, that this production company paid me $0 to make any of my short films. And that is because this production company was made up. It was as much a fiction as the short films themselves. I was inspired to start my films off like this for two reasons. One, when I first got into making short films, I noticed that a lot of high-quality films began with a production company credit. And so I thought it would make my films seem fancier right off the bat. The second reason was inspired by the movie Fargo. If you've ever seen the movie, it begins with a statement, "This is a true story." But that statement is in fact not true. It was a narrative device created by the Coen brothers to intrigue their audience. And I thought that was a very clever and playful way to bend the rules of fiction. And so I created my own production company that never really existed. Because the reality was, I wasn't going to wait until a production company gave me permission to make my short films. Oftentimes, filmmakers let their ideas die on the vine by thinking, one day I will make my short film real. I just have to wait for a film grant or a production company to give me the money to make it. But that has never been my approach to filmmaking. Instead, I took the approach of wear as many hats as possible to make your film ideas real. And you should too. Back in 2016, I watched this South by Southwest keynote speech from the filmmaker Joe Swanberg that really inspired me a lot.
I think that it's actually better to have no money than some money when you're making a film. I would define it as, could you look a restaurant owner in the eyes and legitimately say to that person, I don't have any money. Can I shoot in your restaurant for free? If you're lying about it and you have some money, they're gonna be able to tell, and so is everybody else on your movie. And some money I have found to be incredibly dangerous and difficult to navigate, because if you have some money, everybody wants some of that some money. If you have no money, everybody just knows it, and then they're there to work. And then in a best case scenario, which I've had a few of these best case scenarios, you sell a movie and then you're able to pay people afterwards better than you could have paid them if you had some money.
I tried my best to live out this quote when I started to make short films. Each project was made with either no money or I actually lost money on when you take into account gear that I rented and buying people meals. But I was lucky enough to have a group of friends who were not only supportive of my film ideas, but were down to actually be in them. So I guess consider this step one. Make sure to collaborate with people who are actually up for collaboration. Early on, when I started to make short films, I would make a mental note every time I was at a party or out somewhere and someone told me that they were interested in acting and would be up for being in one of my short films. I had this mental roster of potential actors in my head, and I would begin to dream up ideas for short films specifically written with these people in mind. And all these friends had real jobs, so I tried my best to create a production schedule that was realistic, quick, and doable. So consider this step two. Make sure your idea can be done in the shortest amount of time for your crew. How can you make this possible? Shoot in only 1 to maybe 3 locations. Take my short film, Following Philip, for instance. This was a film that was truly made with no money. I asked 2 friends, Richard and Nick, to act in it, and we filmed almost the entire film in one evening. This meant I had to be both the director and the cinematographer for it. And I shot it mostly on a handheld Sony a7S II. The film is shot in essentially 3 locations: a parking lot at night, a car, sometimes parked, sometimes in motion, and a house. This was all filmed between 6 and 9 p.m., which looking back is pretty wild that we were able to pull that off. And the reason we were able to get so much covered in such a short amount of time was the fact that the film is pretty voiceover driven, which required a second evening with just Nick to record the voiceover. Before the shoot, Nick and Richard actually had never met before. Nick is a musician, and earlier that year I had made a music video for one of his songs for the fun of it. So when I had this idea, I pitched it to him and he was 100% down. As for Richard, Richard is one of those friends who at one point in time at a party told me that he would be up for acting in one of my short films. So I wrote this part with him in mind. Both of them absolutely crushed it, and Nick is just such a funny dude that at one point when we were trying to film one of the scenes, it took 10 takes because he kept on making Richard laugh.
I just have to let you know that, the next time this happens, I have to call the cops.
Cool.
Well, listen, the next time this happens, I have to call the cops.
Cool.
I'm sorry, I tried to...
After we were done with the production, I began the editing process. So consider this step 3. Learn to edit and edit your own short films. Editing will always take the longest amount of time, and I honestly believe that it is one aspect where it's not really that fair to ask other people to volunteer their time for. Every short film I've ever made has taken way more time than I thought it would, and at the time of making Following Philip, I had a full-time job, and so I basically edited the film on my lunch breaks or late at night once my family was asleep. It took about a month or 2 of the schedule to complete. I had high hopes for this film, but it got rejected by all the film festivals and short film websites I submitted it to. And that's okay. It was really good practice, and like every project I've made before and after, I learned a lot from the experience. It's also one of those films that I made where years later, once people found me through TikTok or Instagram, people from time to time will reach out to me and be like, hey, I really loved Following Philip, and that's really cool. That has that second life to it. Anyways, this is just one example of how you can make a short film with no budget. I have to say though, I've been pretty bad about taking my own advice over the last couple of years. The more I have focused on mixed media animations, the less brain space I've had for thinking up new short film ideas. In 2024 though, thanks to Creator Camp, I got to make 2 short films with some really talented video creators. In May, I got to make a short film in the woods of upstate New York that had to be filmed and edited all within 90 minutes, which was a wild and fun experience. And then in September, I was sent out with this wild dream team to go and make a film up in the mountains of Switzerland. In 2025, I do have this one idea for a short film that I would really like to make. This time around though, I was hoping to get a film grant to make it. Because honestly, if you can get a budget and pay everyone to be there, take it. But the film grant didn't work out. So maybe I'll take my own advice and just go out there and make it. Should I do this? And if so, should I document the process here?